Welcome to the Use Your Inside Voice podcast. I'm Heather Dawn. Let's kick it off with a dance party. Hello, and welcome to the Use Your Inside Voice podcast. My name is Heather Dawn, and I'm very excited to introduce today's guest. This is Dr. Brunee Dorsett, and Dr. Brunee Dorsett, or Brunee as I get to call her, is a family physician in the Bahamas. She's a lovely human being. A lot of fun things about her, but we're going to run through, her 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 bio real quick, just so you guys have a little taste of what she's all about, where she came from. She studied in Kingston, Jamaica. That was where medical school was, with an undergrad in Nova Scotia, Canada. She's super active in her community, serving the underserved. And something else that I think was really fun to learn about you, Brunee, is that you are the lead organist at church. So there's music in those bones and talent, because it's not an easy thing to play the organ. I admire the organist at our church so much because, there's pedals and layers of keys. And so I think it'd be very fun to see you on the organ, just soft shoeing it on the organ. She it has been a physician since 2015. And right now, she's also the chair of the Wonka Polaris, which is it's an international group of young family physicians in North America, so US, Canada, and the Caribbean. And she does a lot of really very important things as far as the mindset of a physician. And I think that's really what kind of drew me to having you here on this podcast, is because the healthcare industry is vital for us, right? And the physicians and the teams, the nurses, everybody from top to bottom, it's really important, the work that is done there. And often I feel like they're the over-serving community that is underserved themselves. And I know that you feel that way. We're going to talk about your passion project. But I just want to say hello. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Heather, and hello, everyone who's listening in. It is such an honor to be on your show with you today, Heather. I look forward to our conversation and see what amazing insights that we dig up together.
Awesome. Thank you. Me too. So whether you guys are listening in the car, whether you're doing the dishes while you're listening, or some of you might even be in the shower right now. I know that's where I like to consume podcasts. Please enjoy what we have to share with you today. So let me start with this. I would like to ask you, how do you use your inside voice?
Well, Heather, as I think about my day-to-day responsibilities and what I'm usually up to at any given moment, I find that my inside voice is used to help me sustain what it is that I'm doing at the time. And I do have a lot on my plate. I do juggle a lot of roles. So as I become more comfortable with acknowledging when I'm feeling stressed, strained, and I realize, okay, don't just label it as that, but take it a step further and, look at ways that I could address it so that I could have almost a second win sort of thing. That would be asking myself, what is it that I need in that particular moment? What is it that I could do for myself in that particular moment to acknowledge that I'm human and I have personal needs that I need to take care of right then and there, or sooner than later once, time permits, the situation allows. And I find that by using that inside voice, I've been way more okay recently at this phase in my life as compared to previously when I suffered with like a revolving cycle of being burnt out in the work that I do.
Mm, okay, this is good. This is really good. What a great response. What kept coming to mind as you were talking is just it sounds like when you start uh, feeling a certain type of way, you pause and you drop in and you say, okay, what's really going on here? Am I stressed or is it something a little deeper? And that is exactly what it's all about is going in and kind of finding where the root of this is. And I love that because your focus has or your process, I guess, has shifted a little bit from just being in this constant revolving door of like, this is what the people need from me. This is what the people need from me. I'm going to give, 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 and like not pausing and taking care of yourself enough so that you had something uh, that was better to share. Like basically, what do they say? Like you can't serve from an empty cup, right? But we recently heard from a common mentor that you're not even supposed to serve from your cup. You're supposed to serve from the overflow in the saucer of the cup. What a concept, right? So I'm I'm really curious. I would love to ask you, how are you filling your own cup so that you have enough spilling over onto the sides, especially coming from someone who is in a field where your job is all about caring for other people and giving and serving and providing and nurturing. What do you do for yourself?
Well, let me just say that the work that I do, the way that I serve patients, I view it as a privilege and an honor for persons to come to the clinic that I work at and, request to be seen by a doctor and to trust us to a level where they're sharing themselves beyond just their medical concerns, especially as I take them down that path. So for me, ways that I keep my cup filled and overflowing, and I am indeed a work in progress. This is by no means that I've made it, I've got it all down pack. I feel like every day, not even every 24 hours, probably several times throughout the day, I always have to keep using that inside voice to bring it back to me and say, how are we right now?
Yeah.
And, you're doing great work serving, but how are you doing? What can I do for you? What can I get for you? What do you need from me? And this is me talking to myself, sort of thing, and not answering.
Not answering,
Not
yes.
allowed, but just checking into that. And what I found for me surrounding the concept of self-care that is trending, as we know, me being a high performer, the usual practices that the society brings to the forefront as self-care, it's not as fulfilling for me when I indulge in those things. It's like, sure, I love a massage. Sure, getting your hair done and your nails painted, for us women who do those practices, sure, it makes you feel like you are intentionally caring for your physical being. But for me, I find that I need at least several aspects of quality of life to come together for me to really feel like I am having a filling up of my cup and that yes, it will be overflowing. So creativity is something that is a must for me. And that could take different forms, whether coloring in an adult coloring book and
Okay.
having like really homey, comfortable scenes, like a bathroom with like fresh, fluffy towels and a nice like claw-footed bathtub type of thing.
Yes.
Or I also draw. I used to
Oh,
draw more when I was younger and didn't have like so much going on sort of thing. But like several months ago, I just pulled out my sketch pad and I started drawing this peculiar looking parrot that seems like he himself had something on his mind, like, something you look like kind of grr. But and so creativity, and then two, that could also transform into experimenting in the kitchen. So I love food. And
yeah.
oftentimes I would either experiment with recipes, whether that be savory or baking. I wouldn't say I'm skilled at it, but I just love the fact that, yes, you start off with following the recipe. And when it comes to like maybe putting it together in the decoration form or so, that's where creativity could step in. And you just get that opportunity to create outside of the box, so to say.
Yes.
And
100%.
other things, though, which are still on the usual self-care list for most people,
Yeah.
like exercise. So for me, that's just a part of my routine. So I don't
Yes.
consider it self-care. I just consider it what needs to be done for me to be ready to face the day. And of course, not to be a healthcare leader who is not practicing what she preaches. I,
Yes.
I would feel ever so, oh man, I couldn't live with myself if I was telling my patients to pick up healthy practices such as, things they eat on a typical day and regular exercise. And I myself, wasn't making the same efforts. So I am able to hold that space with them when they might say, well, that is not easy, to eat that particular kind of way or, exercise so much. And it's say, hey, let me let you know that your doctor, I have already exercised for the morning before coming here. And yes, we already here early. So I wake up early to ensure
Yes.
that I get that in. So just little things like that to make sure that what makes me happy, I call it my joy recipe. What makes me happy,
My
um,
goodness.
baseline, I make
Okay,
sure
this
I
is
get at least
good.
one, thanks. I get at least one activity in the day that will help me to feel like, like sometimes just get out of my head and enjoy the flow of energy around me and within me.
Okay, wow. There's a lot in here that you just talked about, and I'm like excited because this is super practical for anyone that's listening. Um, I'm gonna grab onto your joy recipe. Isn't that delicious? Okay, a
Yes.
joy recipe. I love that because immediately I think of all of the things that would bring me joy, which my list is probably different than yours and different than any of the readers. Um, and on your list, you have things like coloring an adult coloring book, experimenting in the kitchen. I'm sure there are other things, drawing and getting in your sketchbook and making your quirky parrot that you drew. Um, for other people, it could be going on a run. It could be doing journal prompts and just free writing. For other people, it could be dancing. For me, singing is right in there. Like if I need to boost my joy, it will be in song, either singing, dancing, or both. Um, yeah, oh, I love that joy recipe.
I
So
want to add
listen,
to that list too, Heather, that
yes.
spending time in nature it's priceless. So
Mm,
whether you are doing it for exercise purposes or just for mental wellness purposes, it adds to your sense of peace and calmness. And in the world that we're living in, where everything is more fast-paced and we have everything supposedly at our fingertips and instant and what have you, it just gives you that opportunity to slow down a little and just be present in the moment and take note around you, looking at, nature itself. And for us, again, with, like you said, with the joy recipe, depending on who you are and your personality and what fires you up, that time in nature was going to look different too, depending where we are geographically. So for me here in the Bahamas, where there's a beach nearby, whatever direction you go, sort of thing, after a few minutes, um, for other persons who might live in inner parts of their country, it might be, doing a hike on a trail, whether in the mountains or in a forest. And, there's so much evidence out there that supports concepts such as forest bathing, where you literally just go in the forest for about 20 minutes, or in nature for the rest of us who don't have so much
Or
forest around, right? And
yes,
just spend about 20 minutes, if possible, daily, and you could literally just lie somewhere, and breathe in and listen to the sounds, the scurrying of the animals, the waves crashing on the shore, snow time sort of thing, just being present, feeling the chill, and
yes,
noticing not the crystals, the snowflakes on the
yes,
trees, the way they're, forming. There's
yes.
so many ways. So it's just like use whatever you have in your surrounding, and definitely use whatever you have at home that you could make it simple, attainable, not expensive every single time. It doesn't have to cost you a dime to
Yeah.
have this level of impact that you pour into yourself every day.
It's beautiful. And yeah, just the concept of immersing yourself in nature. Even if, I mean, 20 minutes is amazing, but even if you could just go outside and touch grass for 5 minutes or put your feet on natural stone, in we live in like cubicles and in houses with closed walls and carpeting floor and like synthetic fabrics and it's like there's a grounding effect to being in nature. There's a grounding effect to actually just taking a minute and letting yourself, like you said, listen to the birds, watch the leaves fall. I live in the Northeast, and this is time of the year is magical. You can go outside and you can actually just watch the leaves teaching you how to let go and
Mhm.
falling to the ground. And every tree is a different shade of, gold, red, orange, brown, a bright green. I have a bush in my backyard that is red. It's called the burning bush, and it is beautiful. It's my favorite time of year and the favorite part of my backyard. So sometimes I'll just go in the backyard and just stare at the at the burning bush, which sounds crazy, but it is soul quenching and it's grounding and it's a reset. And it reminds me that I'm not alone in this world and that we're all connected because that's what nature does. Like we're all actually on this earth, like connected to the earth. So it's beautiful. So this joy recipe, listeners, I was gonna say readers, listeners, uh, create one. Create your joy recipe. That's such gold, Brene. And it doesn't surprise me that you would have something called a joy recipe because I happen to know that your favorite color is yellow. And to me, yellow equals joy, joy equals yellow. Like that's the color I see when I say the word joy, I immediately think of yellow. I don't know if you do as well.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So, um, favorite color is yellow. She's all about joy. I want to talk about your passion project right now because um it's important. And I'm gonna give like an overview, and then I would love to hear not sort of, I would love to hear you talk about um, what you think the rollout is going to look like, because this is something that you're in the framework process right now. Um, Essentially, Dr. Brunei is she's putting together a framework around transforming the leaders in the healthcare space to shift their mindset and make caring for themselves just a really important practice so that they can then teach their teams the importance of caring for themselves. I'm sure the joy recipe is going to be part of this framework, I'm guessing. um, so that these leaders in the healthcare industry can walk the walk themselves, um, shift that mindset to, really understanding what it means to care for themselves fully so that they can teach the teams. And then it's like a top-down approach in healthcare so that then it trickles to the patient who ultimately is the one that is there because they either haven't cared for themselves, there's an illness that they need help in having themselves cared for, or they're looking for guidance. And so what a tremendous way to sort of ripple out into the world, um, a top-down approach. And quite frankly, and I said it at the beginning, like the people in the healthcare industry do more serving, than most industries, and in a very an intense, physically, emotionally, and dare I say, spiritually demanding way. And I feel that they are underserved. Um, it's like they just give, 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 and who's taking care of them. And so I love this idea. Can you elaborate a little bit more? And
Yeah, for sure. I'm still blown away that after 70,104 hours of training, I completed my family medicine specialty and I serve international group of young family doctors in the USA, the Caribbean, and Canada through the Wonka Polaris community as the chair. And as well as I also get to touch lives of my patients every day through one-on-one encounters, helping them to go beyond the initial symptom complaint that brought them into clinic and looking at ways that they could elevate their next level of health. But, it wasn't always that way for me. I remember in training, especially when I was in the hospital setting of my training, where I would be so fired up, ready to contribute to elevating the level of healthcare services that I provided, yes, my team provided, but what my organization on a whole provides for the patients who come into us for help. And I realized that no matter how big of an intention I had to make a difference, serve, help sick patients feel better and get better, and if possible, have better control of their medical conditions. And, at times when cure is on the table, cure them as well. But it kept turning into almost like a revolving door. There were days when you were so excited you got this patient stabilized and they are fit and ready to go home. And, the following day when our team being on call or on duty, you would see the same patient face come back in the emergency room. And yes, they are critical to the point where they need to be admitted again, even though you just allowed them home, you discharged them the day before. And I also noticed that my colleagues, when I remember them at the start of our medical career journey, they're vibrant, excited, we're ready to take on this charge of providing healthcare within our nation. And you notice that they're just starting to become shadows of themselves,
mm,
myself included. I'm not immune to this, just becoming shadows of ourselves and, having lackluster and getting snappish in our responses when either speaking to our patients or to each other, and just witnessing the way that there was basically not much protective factors and processes going on within the healthcare system
mm.
that would ensure that, we are well taken care of. And that really bothered me. And I think more than a lot of my colleagues, where, it wasn't just a matter of like, this really sucks for lack of better words. It just really got me angry as to why is it that we are doing such high level, high impact work and forms of serving. And as you mentioned, Heather, healthcare being such an important industry because
Vital.
health,
Yes.
right, it's vital because health is it's not a destination to say, I'm healthy, I have no medical conditions.
Mm,
It's a tool. Health is a tool that enables us to live life as we set out to live life. There are other factors too that are important, but if we don't have our health, if
mm,
you're in and out of the doctor's office every day, in and out, you you have less time to be out there in the world doing whatever it is, your zone of genius, doing your fulfilling your life purpose because you're always unwell or you're always, requiring medications, hospitalizations, and what have you. So I thought, what better way, or, I said, imagine what would it look like if there was a healthcare culture that better supported its workers, the bloodline of the industry.
right.
And as you mentioned, that goes from top down.
Yes.
Did you know that, and I'm just going to call out three major categories, but did you know that up to, or actually over 30% of nurses are struggling with challenges such as long shifts and that prolonged patient care, the strains that comes with that, many of them looking to leave their workplaces and even the profession at large. And then for doctors, that level of burnout rises up to 50 to 60%, where doctors are having to juggle the patient care responsibilities, yes, and now in this day that we live in, there are also administrative tasks that we have to ensure we get done, again, driving us to the brink of quitting. And I do
Yes.
have colleagues that I know who got out of medicine altogether, and it's not so to say, they weren't in it to help people. It's just a matter of when we take a second and really think about the impact that comes with high performance in a
High,
system
high
that does
demand,
not,
right?
right, that does not support that level of work for such a prolonged period. And for a long period, I'm not even talking about, how many years you're a doctor. I'm talking about even a day. So starting your day off in the morning, and if you're on call that day, depending on your specialty, you may not be leaving work until almost 48 hours later since you first entered the building. And again, going back to healthcare leaders, the executive level, 60 to 70% of them are experiencing burnout despite being in leadership roles where they just have the pressure of bringing about results and getting it done, that so many of them are sabotaging their personal needs and their health themselves, that they are falling ill. So you have that sort of situation where you have the unhealthy doctor who's looking after you, the sick patient,
Right.
because
The
we're too,
unhealthy executive who's overseeing the unhealthy leaders, who's overseeing the unhealthy nursing staff. Like it's a trickle down effect. And I noticed, excuse me, I noticed that as you went up the chain, the percentages got higher of burnout.
yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly the reality of it, Heather. So for me, I knew that my experience up to date was no mere coincidence.
Mm.
My interest and passion for medicine, and then learning that, I do want to be on the preventative side of things. So pursuing family medicine, and then learning that it goes even deeper with lifestyle medicine, where it's what we do on a typical day, what we eat on a typical day, the being intentional in that regard with our health. And then
Mhm.
again, understanding the power of having a health coach. And I pursued my certification in health coaching as well. So I'm on a mission to transform the healthcare culture so that it better supports the bloodline of its industry, which would be the healthcare leaders, and helping them to prioritize the secret sauce being their humanity. With all the advancements we have in medicine at this time, which I'm most grateful for because they do help to make our duties easier to do. But when I think about the secret sauce, it's that we're human, and because of that, we do need to be intentional with our everyday activities regarding our personal wellness and our needs, and not just look at we are, healthcare providers serving those in need. We have to start with ourselves and re regain our sense of fulfillment as human beings, because even though we serve and have that privilege to serve those who are not feeling well, we still are human beings. We are people outside of being these healthcare providers. We have interests,
Yeah.
we have families, we have goals, we have other ambitions that may have nothing to do with medicine, or some things that do.
Yeah.
But for us to just acknowledge that they exist and look for ways that we could have a joy in our professional life, but also have a joy in our personal life. So
Yes.
to do it in a sustainable way where we don't have as much of the burnout, we can retain the top talent in the industry, we can reduce the staff turnover rates and the cost that comes with it, and thus, as you mentioned, transform the healthcare teams who are taking care of patients. And that itself, that human secret sauce, as I'm calling it, that
I
human
love it.
touch, that human element, that is such a magical and powerful component of providing healthcare services that
Yes.
goes beyond just medications and surgeries sort of
Yes.
thing. It's like the patients can tell that their doctor is
Alive.
whole,
Yeah.
alive and whole. They're not coming, empty or half,
Yes.
up, whatever you want to term it, sort of thing. They're
A,
coming as a
a
whole.
shell. They're not showing up a shell of who they are meant to be. I love
Right,
this. The secret sauce is unique for each person. The secret sauce is what drives them, what they are passionate about.
yes,
And like that that is actually another great nugget for listeners, because it doesn't matter if you work in the healthcare industry or not. The secret sauce to making you a better you in whatever industry you're in, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a postal worker like my son, I'm so proud of him, whether you stay at home with your kids, if you're not feeding your soul and what you're passionate about and what makes you you, then you're not presenting your best self to the world. And that seems like the easiest, least expensive medicine there is just go be you.
yeah,
Go out into the world and be you and feed your passions. Um, so you can show up whole, like Brene says. It's
right.
beautiful.
It's all about having transformation through wellness,
The
and
joy.
not looking at wellness as an additional extra that we need to do, but rather looking at it as a
Potential.
strategy
Mm,
to ensure our personal and ultimately organizational resilience, performance, and satisfaction. So, just to let you know, Heather, if you're not aware, a big component of healthcare, within organizations is the patient satisfaction. So they actually have, different tools to gather in the information and data on patient satisfaction scores. And, that itself helps with the ranking of the healthcare institutions and helps with remaining competitive in the healthcare industry. But for me, with my online health coaching program that I have, I am helping for healthcare executives because I know the power lies in leadership. It all starts with leadership, the vision for the healthcare community. So
Hmm.
what my online health coaching for executives program really focuses on is helping the leaders to adopt healthier lifestyle that would therefore impact their decision making on a day-to-day basis that
Mm.
will then go into the way the team sees their leader. So it's that's the same thing. It's just a different level above the patients. When you have your team, your staff members, whoever that may look like on the team, but when they see
Mhm.
that their leader is showing up again as a whole person and
Yes,
they are themselves utilizing some level of servant leadership where they're checking in on their team members and making sure that they have everything that they need to flourish, yes, in their role as a healthcare provider, but also to be whole as a person. So
yes.
that's going to improve team morale and
Hmm.
the health of the organization and overall productivity. And of course, with it being a business, whether it's, a nonprofit institution or not, someone has to pay for the normal saline and the Panadol and the procedures and what have you and pay the workers. So ultimately it is going to come down to improving the performance of the organization and thus therefore the health of the nation, the health of the world. So that is what I am doing with my business right now.
Beautiful. I love it. It's such important work. I mean, of being a physician, a family physician is such important work. And for you to have noticed such a missing aspect and for you to have, considered working on this framework, I see you and I see the work that you're doing and I know your heart. And I love that this is such a big goal for you to transform the healthcare industry. That's like a huge goal, right? Because the healthcare
I don't expect to say transform it perhaps within my lifetime and be the answer, but for me, Heather, it's being a part of the solution. I
right.
know this is what I was made for, and this is my non-negotiable that when that time comes for me to move on, pass away, end of my life sort of thing, if I did not put in my very best in being a part of the solution to this ongoing issue that we have in our healthcare industry is taking care of those who serve.
Yeah.
And just, there's an assumption, there's a belief within our healthcare industry that I think needs to change right now, where we think that it's up to the healthcare providers to be the ones to ensure their personal wellness is, happening.
Mm.
We do, there is so much within the work that we do on a typical day and serving other people that, most times by the end of your shift, you feel drained. You have nothing in you to say, oh, let me go and make a healthy choice or let me, have a mindful moment. A lot of us go into what's comfortable and what's going to bring us
Right.
immediate gratification. So that might be, a drink or binging some
Netflix.
content. I don't want to say it, but thank
Uh, sorry.
binging something or just scrolling, right? Scrolling on your screen. The last thing you want to do is like, make sure you have something healthy on your plate, sort of thing. You want that steak and lobster, you want a surf and turf meal because it's going to give you that instant feel good sort of thing because you had such a hard day, you had such a hard week, you worked hard, you deserve it. I'm not saying that, never ever have these little treats, but when it becomes your lifestyle, when this becomes your day to day, who you are, that's when the numbers start to shift and your health
Mhm.
starts to shift more and more away from ideally what is going to help you to experience life and to be able to do whatever work it is that you're called to do in your life. That's when that's going to start to become, you know, your numbers are not looking great. I need you to be on these medications, or I need to send you to a subspecialist because, this organ isn't functioning adequately because of the choices you've made all this time, sort of thing. And that is the role of a health coach. So having a health coach and what I do, having a health coach for executive leaders, it helps not just give you accountability with these healthy lifestyle choices and the adoption of it and making it who you are, but it also gives you a greater level of success in achieving your health goals and finally breaking through the plateaus that so many of us experience with, saying, New Year 2025, gonna start doing these healthy things. It helps you to break beyond the plateaus where sometimes knowing the facts, Heather, is
Mhm.
not enough to create that that change that
Yeah.
we need.
Yeah.
And that's where the health coaching comes in with what I do. So I just want to invite your listeners out there, whether healthcare or not,
Okay.
that, if you are finding yourself in that stage where it just seems like you're stuck, you're not moving forward with your progress, with your health goals, consider working with a health coach so that you can have a higher level of success. And wherever you are, whether that be in movement with your meeting your health goals, or you find yourself stuck, you're stagnant, and you're starting to lose faith, you're starting to lose hope, confidence in yourself, consider working with a health coach so that it helps you to have someone to, yes, keep you accountable and be a guide on the side. That's the way I like to term myself. I'm your guide on the side because, it's not that you don't know what to do. It's not that you're not capable of making these amazing breakthroughs on your own, but it's just that most times we do benefit from having someone, a guide on the side, a coach, a mentor, someone who has already walked that walk, someone who has additional insights and golden nuggets that could help make it not just obtainable, but also fun.
Mhm.
Because here's the thing with health and healthy lifestyle, the more fun you make it, the greater your success. It
Sure.
doesn't come across as a task or work or, oh no, I have to exercise. It's like, oh yay, I get to exercise and I can exercise because what I tell some of my patients in having this conversation about getting active, there are many clients who are coming in for dressing changes and foot wounds, especially. And, these persons can say, oh, I can walk on the park for exercise today, or, do jumping jacks sort of thing. The fact that you can, that your body is currently
Mhm.
able to sustain healthy activity, now is the time for you to take action rather than,
Mhm.
oh no, you have a medical condition that results in some sort of physical ailment that you cannot keep up with it. You had a stroke, you have a wound on your foot that's not healing, diabetes is complicating it, sort of thing. Or sadly, most times when I have clients who have some level of kidney disease and they haven't taking the opportunities of healthy lifestyle, they are, getting worse with their kidney function. And it gets at that stage where you can't eat what's considered a healthy meal at that point, or a typical healthy meal, because healthy foods are so packed of good nutrients and vitamins and minerals that some foods become off limits to avoid the accumulation of those very vitamins and minerals that would otherwise send the body into a very dangerous situation had this person, not being in that medical condition, level of or state of their medical condition. So I just want to encourage your listeners at this time too, if you are not already actively doing something healthy, it could be as simple as starting off with 5 minutes of gentle body movements, whether that be stretching or exercising or a walk. It's that time of the year, fall, you might be able to, walk or adding something healthy to your plate.
Yeah.
So I tell my clients, it doesn't have to go a drastic overnight. You're going from the fried starchy foods, a lot of meat on the plate, straight into like a basically a vegan plate sort of thing. It doesn't have to look that way. You could start by adding something green onto your plate. So a fresh salad, some green beans, broccoli sauteed, whatever that looks like for you. And you still have the other not so healthy choices on the plate, but make sure you at least eat all of the healthy stuff. And you'll find
Right.
that as you do that, you find that your satisfaction, you get full in a gentler way, not the, oh my gosh, I can't breathe. Where is the zipper to
Yes.
unzip it sort of thing. It
Yeah.
comes to a point where it's like, you know what? I don't need to have all this meat on the plate. I don't
Mhm.
need to have two starches on this plate. Or I'm going to look at ways I can transform the quality of my carbohydrate, because carbs have such a bad rap, but they're not bad. It's the quality of the carbohydrate, where it's a whole grain that I have on the plate, and it does keep me fueled with energy and full and satisfied longer. I do have better mental clarity, that I can make decisions and not have to get, decision fatigue sort of thing. And I sleep better and I'm breathing easier. I could keep up with my kids, and, just the restrictions just break off of you. So
Yes.
just look for
You,
one thing you could start.
yeah. The energy increases and then a whole lot of other things open up too. I think it's wonderful that you just gave listeners some great tips there. Um, if someone wanted to access you as a health coach, what would that process look like, Dr. Brunee?
So I currently on LinkedIn, there is my Calendly link to schedule and book a call with me, so that we could discover ways that I could serve your health needs, being a healthcare executive, as well as looking forward to serving in your organization at large. Because as we mentioned, this is a top-down positive trickling effect that we are working towards in our industry. So that would be my name, Brunee, Brunee, and Dorsett, Dorsett, as I'm sure Heather's going to provide in the show notes. But I do have my Calendly calendar there for now, and
Wonderful.
looking for me across the other social media platforms, as well as I allow my voice to be heard and advocate for you, the very much loved and important, vital part of this amazing industry that we are privileged to be a part of.
I love it. So yes, we will definitely put in all of the show notes, all the ways to get in touch with you. And you mentioned your Calendly, so we'll include the link for that as well. Dr. Brunei, is the Calendly it's a discovery call that someone would get on with you? Is that something that they would pay for that discovery call, or is that something that the readers could
Yeah,
access.
it's free. It's free of charge.
Wonderful. Okay, so listeners, you have the opportunity to have a free discovery call with Dr. Brunee just by using the Calendly link. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. Brunee. That's very generous. And with that, you'll discuss whether or not Dr. Brunee and you are right fit for each other to have her be your side guide on the side in your health quest. I love that. So many fun little things that you've shared today. I just want to remind listeners about the joy recipe and consider what that might be for you. Having a guide on the side as a health coach is a great way to ensure that you are taking excellent care of yourself and that you're making decisions that are informed with someone who will hold you accountable. And, us that are listeners, we that are listeners who are not in the healthcare industry, I'm going to encourage us as a body of listeners to extend just a little bit more kindness to the healthcare workers that you come in contact with, whether that's the person at the desk when you walk into the reception area, or whether that's the person who's taking your blood pressure and getting you set up for the physician to come and see you. Just extend a little more kindness, a smile, and a thank you probably goes a very long way. So with that, I really want to say thank you to you, Dr. Brunee. It's been a pleasure having you on Use Your Inside Voice podcast. And to the listeners, reminder to drop in, listen to your inside voice, and let your inside voice be a great guide for you as you walk through this earth and this planet and this lifetime. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Use Your Inside Voice podcast. I'm Heather Dawn. We'll see you next Friday and every Friday after that.